This is the chapel at Kirkmaiden-in-Furness, near Monreith, in Galloway. It's thought there's been a chapel and a burial ground here since the Dark Ages, circa the 7th to 8th century AD. The later church may possibly be Norman, a simple rectangular shape to start with, but later having an aisle built to the north and to the south, both of which are now missing. It was the parish church until about 1682, when it was combined with nearby Glasserton. The remains today are mostly of the ruined nave with no roof, whilst the chancel has been converted into the Maxwell Aisle, the burial place of the nearby Lairds of Monreith. A local story is that the old pulpit and bell from Kirkmaiden were to be taken to the new church at Glasserton. However, in the proof that the old religion was the pure religion, the boat that was taking them sank in a sudden storm that appeared. And it's now said that the bell could be heard to chime when the original owners of the estate, the McCullochs, when any of them die. So there's a wraith bell beneath the waves. Rather more prosaically, the original belfry from the church is now present at the Glasserton church. One of the myths for the origin of the name Kirkmaiden was that at Port Patrick there was an abbot who had 3 daughters. These maidens each wished to establish a church, and one of them established it here at Kirkmaiden-in-Furness. Furness is a Norse word meaning a headland. Nowadays it's known as the lag. In 1760, a sea battle took place between the Royal Navy and a Frenchman, Thomas Thurot. He was a privateer that he had been given a commission by the French government to attack and to take British shipping during times of war. He was killed in the battle, and his body was sewn into a silk rug and was given a burial at sea. It washed up below the chapel, and the local Laird of Maxwell decided it should have an honourable burial in his churchyard. He acted as the chief mourner. The actual site of his burial has been lost, but there is a plaque that records his death on the side of the old nave. An early, rather obscure Christian saint, St. Medon or Medana, is a more likely explanation of the origin of the name Kirkmaiden. There's also a myth related to the church, that is of an Irish princess who came over to Scotland to try and escape a suitor who was intent on marrying her while she wished to remain as a nun. After several further attempts to escape him, she asked him what her most attractive feature was, and he said her eyes. She duly plucked her eyes out and gave them to him, and he left in horror. At this point, miraculously, water started to emerge from the nearby headland. She washed her face, and her eyesight was restored. Up until the late 19th century, the water from this spring was still used to cure various ailments, particularly those relating to the eyes. The church is located in a rather out-of-the-way place, and it may be linked to a tradition of the early Christian church, where churches were built to supplant the pagan religion. The hillside, where the memorial to Gavin Maxwell is present, has a number of pagan symbols known as cup and ring marks, and the presence of the church may be there to negate their influence. The old cemetery has a number of interesting graves, particularly several to the McCullochs, who were the owners of the estate. They sold it to the Maxwells, who had come originally from Tynwald, which is in Nithsdale. There used to be at least one beautifully carved Celtic interlaced cross. This was until fairly recently inside the railings that protect the entrance to the Maxwell Aisle. The cross has now been taken to the Whithorn Museum. It's said that originally, way back when the McCullochs sold the land, they tried to take this cross with them, but whilst during the attempt it broke and fire shot out from between the cracks. They wisely decided to leave it where it was. In Victorian times, the old chancel of the church, where the altar would have been, was restored and converted into the Maxwell Aisle, a burial place for the Maxwells of Monreith. This was done by Sir Herbert Maxwell. He was a famous author. Also, he was a horticulturalist, a historian, and an archaeologist. Sir Herbert and his wife are buried at the entrance to the aisle. There are several other memorials within the aisle itself. It's not clear whether any of the family are buried in a crypt beneath the building. During consolidation work on the old nave, which has lost its roof, 10 skeletons were found. This is at the gable end of the west side facing the sea. The author, Gavin Maxwell, best known for his book about his otter, The Ring of Bright Water, was a member of the family. He didn't live here, but did visit. They said he exercised his otter on the beach below the church. There's a memorial to him up on the hill at Graigengour.